Hello everyone and welcome to another video. I'm the Autistic Artist and today we will talk about autism diagnostic criteria and what autism is. So I know we have a video like that ready, but I realized that people keep asking me questions about like, do I have autism? And of course I can tell you that I'm not an expert, but I have autism and I can give you some examples and some like input in if you should get yourself diagnosed or not. And also far better. Okay. There are two main books, diagnostic books, I don't know how to call them, that are used for diagnosing autism, and that's the DSM-5, especially in the US, and the ECD-11 in Austria, for example, and I guess whole Europe. I thought I might like read through all the criteria and give you some input in how they are for me, how I experienced this, and why it is difficult or other stuff, like just input I can give you. I will throw everything out. First, one thing, autism is not something that's just exploding right now because we changed the diagnostic criteria. Now the easier or little autism or whatever people call it are also included. Autism is just something where we now figured out how to better diagnose and how to realize if someone has autism, who mask and like act as if they are not autistic. And we just figured out how we can diagnose those people, although they don't look like they have autism on the first glance, because they're not like this tiny boy screaming, having a tantrum and sitting like this and that. That's the image they had. And now we figure out that autism is much bigger, and the same things can be true for people that don't look like that. And especially autism can also be found in women, and it's just different in women and not like super rare in women. And the second thing I want to say is that I do realize, though, that there's that thing in social media where people think they have autism and they don't really know what that means, like with OCD, where people are like, I'm so OCD, I need to have my house clean or something like that. So that's why I'm really trying to give examples of what that feels like. And the third thing I have to say, of course, is that I'm only one autistic person and not every autistic person is the same. And I would love for other autists to come out there in the comments and tell what it feels like to them, so we can have a better picture of it. Okay, let's start with number 1. Criterion A in the DSM-5 is persistent deficits in reciprocal social communication and social interactions. And in the ECD-11, it's called persistent deficits in initiating and substantial social communication and reciprocal social interactions that are outside of the range of typical functioning given that person's age and level of intellectual development. So kind of the same thing, but some explain it a little bit broader, and the DSM-5 has like a smaller way of saying it, a more compact way of saying it. So if you throw me into a social group and people are talking, I won't like just jump in and talk with them too. There are some things that are very difficult for me, and they include how people are talking to each other, what they like, what they don't like, and how they exactly interact. And the thing is, as far as I realized, it's just for non-autistic people, it's just something you feel and you like have, and you just know how to interact, and it's kind of going easier than when you're autistic. I don't like read between the lines and know exactly what people are trying to tell me. I have studied facial expressions and tried to make them myself. I don't see like, oh, this face is anger and this face is happiness or something like that. I generally know if you smile, you're more happy, and if you I can't even describe anger. It's just something that also looks different in every person for me. So I just need to like figure that person out and make my own like segment in my brain for this person and this person's facial expressions. They are like this when they are angry and like that when they are happy and something like that. So facial expressions and reading between the lines, those things like aren't a given thing for me. Those things don't come like easily, or are learned like speaking German to me, my main language. Those are things that I like train and where I need to learn it for every new person. And so my basic thing in order to be safe is often to just assume that that is anger or something bad, so I can be safe and like be like, oh no, I think they are angry, I need to watch out, just to be safe, kind of, which gives you a bad feeling, because then you're like, oh shit, I'm mad again, oh, they're mad again, what did I do now? And having that insecurity the whole time just adds a little bit of stress on top. So I never go into social interactions just relaxing and looking how things will go and just seeing how they turn and just interacting. It's always something that needs a lot of my brain. And then we have another part. That's a part where like I'm speaking. And I know a lot of people hate to like call someone. And I do think that's horrible. And it's a level up from what I want to tell you now. But the way people describe to me how they feel when they need to call someone is exactly the way I feel in any social situation that is with a person that I don't like know forever, where I really know how they are and that they give me a direct answer and tell me what's happening and aren't like and don't need me to like really think how they are, and don't need me to like really think what they mean and if that's what they want or what they really want and stuff like that. So when I'm in a group that is talking and I hear a topic like needlefelting. Sorry, I just did that. So needlefelting. I know something about needlefelting, and I like just made a cat, for example. And they are talking about it. The first thing is, when do I start talking? Like they are talking, like how do I jump in? Because I don't want to like talk over other people, jump in at the wrong time when it doesn't really fit or something like that. So one thing is figuring out when I can talk. The second thing is, what do I say? Because I have that like whole it's not an image, but it's also an image. It's like a thought that isn't worded out, and I need to figure out how I want to say that. So I'm starting to form sentences and rearrange stuff in them and look like, is that something the person will understand? Can I say it like that, or does that make someone angry? And when I come to a sentence that kind of made sense, then I like say it 100 times in my head, while also like having the problem with when do I jump in and the other whole problems that I talked about earlier also. And then I need to like actually say it. And when I tell you it never comes out the way I planned it, I really mean that. It's like I'm clumsy at speaking, kind of. So I throw stuff out, and after that happened, I see the reactions. I have that like pessimistic view, and I really fail at not like talking over other people and everything. So after I said something and they didn't react very positively, I'm always like, why did I say that? I should have said it this way. So I'm doubting myself the whole time afterwards. And that basically over like most things I say. So if I don't get feedback that really tells me that was a great idea or that came the way I wanted it, then I'm usually not that happy about what I said. Of course, there are like tinier things, and the more I know people, the less pessimistic I am. But in a social group with people I barely know, that's like the way it's usually going. Okay, so we have that whole talking on the phone kind of situation. We have the self-doubt. We have the like, when do I jump into conversation? We have the like pessimistic view, the not knowing what they want, and every tiny bit stresses me. So I have the stress from this, and altogether, like that's a lot. And if you know the spoon theory, it takes a lot of spoons to think about all of this and deal with all that stress. So I have these things, and I guess it's number 3. There's the thing with like getting stuff, like not only reading between the lines, but also knowing of that social thing that they are talking about. Because sometimes I just don't know that exists. And when they talk about something and everybody laughs, it can happen that I'm sitting there like, why does this make sense? Wait, what's happening, basically? Which does make me nervous and stressed again. And it can be the other way around, that I said something which gives off something and people are laughing and I'm like, okay, why are they laughing? Which is one reason why I was the kind of class clown at school, because I just went with it and acted as if I was trying to make a joke, basically. Super stressful, but at least, I'm not coming off as like the super weird one. I'm coming off as the super funny one, hopefully, a mixture, maybe. That was number 3, and now to number 4, the auditory processing of stuff that comes in. You need to imagine I have all of those topics that are constantly running in my brain, like every single thing that takes up capacity. And now I also need to like listen to the whole conversation and just take it in. So sometimes I'm so focused on just keeping up that whole house of cards that we talked about that I just know they talk to me, but it takes a few seconds until I realized what they said. Which just makes some people angry because they think I'm not listening, but I'm listening in hard mode, basically. So yeah, that is something that's caused by stress and is stressful at the same time, which just shows that the whole thing is a huge house of cards, messy. See, I'm thinking of words, but I don't find them, and that's not only because of the like English I have to speak, but also of the like how do I form a sentence, because I don't want to cut out like hundreds of minutes where I'm repeating the same thing and end up like blah, 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 or where I'm just sitting there staring into the space, being like, what's it called? How do I say that? But wait, there's a way to say that, but I just like that. So just to give you an example, when I'm talking to my best friend, which I know for years, I'm much more relaxed, but still I'm thinking about how is her living situation? How is it with her boyfriend? Did she work today? Is there something else that could be going on inside her, before I even think of stuff that I can say to her, because before I even like initiate something, I wanna keep all those things in mind. It's easier to not mask, and I do not mask in front of my best friend, or I try, because sometimes it's just like something that you do so regularly you forget to turn it off. And still, when I say something, I sometimes wish I hadn't. And that's the easiest way. When I'm like going out with someone and I meet someone new, that person can actually like me, and I still can think that they don't think very much of me. I had that a few days ago with someone who I knew for like half a year now, and we just barely talked some of the times, and other times we were just in a group together where I added stuff into the conversation that I regretted right away. So I didn't really think as if this was like a plus point. I always like imagine, kind of like in Sims, that like bar where you're like you know someone, you like someone, it's your best friend or love interest or whatever, you know those things where they're like minus points on plus points coming up when you talk to someone. I imagine kind of something like that. And I thought we were more like at the getting to know stage with some red minus points going on there. And a few days ago, that person asked me if we want to like hang out, like do something together, making art together or something like that. And I was really confused for a second, because I was like, wait, you like me? And I was happy, but at the same time I was so very stressed, because I thought now that I have like something positive, I can ruin it so easily. So with that, yeah, of course, let's do something together. In the back of my brain I was like, oh my god, I'm messing this up, I'm going to mess it up, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. And adding stress and stress and stress, and then also thinking like, wait, what if I don't have any spoons left, because this is already taking so much spoons just thinking about it. But I think that's a nice person and I really want to do something, but yeah, then we end up with that whole mess. And that's just something that should be a positive thing, right? But it comes with so much stress that I need to take a nap after that. Like seriously, after the conversation, I went home and then I fell asleep. The same applies to like writing, but it's kind of easier because I don't like have to repeat something in my head and then try to say it and mess it up, because I can like correct it. So that's a lot easier. And also I can like Google, is this a thing? I can play in my head what they try to say. I sometimes ask people that are next to me, does that come off like that? Or did I want to talk about that or that? So it's easier in text, which is why I often text people instead of like especially calling them. But you know, calling is hard for introverted people in general, so like just add something to that, and then you have how calling is for me. So yeah, that's like texting. And also like when I'm calling, you kind of imagine what they are doing when you talk to them. You just have it in your head and imagine what they are doing, so you kind of like feel like you're just interacting. It's something I learned like as a teenager in some like sciencey kids show, and for me it's hard to imagine faces. Like I'm not really focusing at their face, which kind of makes it more difficult to imagine them. I do like have a huge world in my head where I like talk about stuff, and it's a whole thing. Maybe I will make a video about that. But faces are not really there, which which makes it harder to imagine them on the phone. So that's another thing added to this whole mess. But let's talk about criterion B in the DSM-5. Restricted repetitive patterns of behavior, interests, or activities. So let's look at the equivalent in the ECD-11. Persistent, restricted, repetitive and inflexible patterns of behavior, interests or activities that are clearly atypical or excessive for the person's age and social context. So the ECD-11 wants to include the age and stuff like that, and just explains it a bit broader, and just explains it a little bit more. What they are talking about with the persistent, restricted, repetitive patterns is stuff like stimming. So sitting there and doing this. I do that a lot. Doing stuff like this. I like to flatten out the strands of hair. So I sit there like that very often, or just digging in my hair like that. And what I do is just make them all straight, which does ruin my hair. So I don't have the best hair most of the time because I'm doing that. Because you make everything oily and greasy because of your hands. That's one thing I do. Since my childhood, I play with my ears. So I now can really turn my ear. I'm sorry if that's yucky. It's just, I wanted to add examples and want to show you what that really means. It's not just you sitting and playing with a fidget spinner. It's a lot, and you can see marks on your body from doing stuff like that. Some have really bad nails or fingers because they hurt themselves in a way because they do it so often. Because that's the thing with the persistent repetitive behavior, blah blah blah. It gives you a sense of control. Imagine the first criterion we talked about. You know how much stress that is, and you feel so overwhelmed, and everything is kind of out of your control because it's so much, and you just don't get the things other people just get, that you just want to get some control back over yourself and your body, that you start doing those behaviors because you feel that and you know you created that, and it's feedback from your body. Okay, you have it under control. There's something you have under control. It makes you feel safe. It really helps you to calm down, to get out of all of that stress. So it's something I don't see as a bad thing. I know it comes off as a bad thing in these books a little bit, I guess. That's something I actually, when I'm thinking about going into psychiatry, where we started to learn about it in med school, where I'm like, wait, why the fuck is this a problem? Where I'm still in a mixture of, are they saying it's a bad thing, or are they just saying that's what makes this thing, that's what's describing this thing? I'm not sure about it, but if it's seen as a bad thing, I really don't think it is. It just gives you some sense of control. Yeah, there's a part where you can actually see it on your body, and of course it's better if you are healthy and okay, but having a little bit of thicker skin here, or a little bit of hurting, or ugly nails, or ugly hair, it's a small thing compared to all the stress you can get rid of with it. But that's just my opinion. I'm here to give you examples. We have interests in there too. Restricted and repetitive. How do I describe that? The easiest way, it also seems so bad, but I don't see it as a bad thing, because you can really get into a topic and focus on it and get to know everything. And isn't that an amazing thing? There's someone who can tell you a ton about dinosaurs because they looked at it so much and they looked into everything. So it's kind of amazing to me. And there's also that sense of control, of course, because there's something you're focused on, and you can get an expert and you know what you're talking about, and the things you talk about, you don't have to think about reading between the lines. You are the one who is the boss in the conversation. The boss is such a strange word, but you are in control of this whole situation, and that's such a relief and so much easier and less stressful. And you also have experts, which is an amazing thing, and that's why a lot of autistic people are in the sciencey world and in the medical world, where you really need those experts and someone who gets into a topic and knows a lot about that topic. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, in my opinion. But it took a lot of time for the interest stuff to really get to me. You know, I have this autism channel, and still I thought I'm not looking into it enough to be like that super good expert at it. So I thought that's one of the criteria which doesn't apply that much to me, even though I have big interests. But looking back at it now, there are people who know a lot more about the topic than I do, but in general, I am really into stuff, and I'm really hyper-focusing is the word you can use, into something. So this definitely applies to me. Just imagine thinking of something, and some people are like, oh, let's Google it. I don't know what's the exact word or something, like, I want to know more about it, just Google it. Some people don't really go to the Googling stuff. They're like, never mind. And then there are people that are like Googling, and then instead of just Googling, you are like, okay, I need to know more. And then you like read the whole Wikipedia article, maybe look at a few more articles or watch videos or something like that. You're much more like into it and interested and want to know a lot more. And that's not something that's a burden to you. That's something that makes you really, really happy. So let's just look what they are like interests, activities. Yes, of course, you can also be into like golfing and really, really train a lot. And so, you know, focus just very much on one topic. So let's go to criteria C. Symptoms must be present in the early developmental period. The onset of the disorder occurs during the developmental period, typically in early childhood. Okay, that's something that's easier to explain, which just needs to be a given thing. In the early stages of your life, babies, you can really see symptoms of it. You realize is the kid having like eye contact. I know it's one of the worst examples because autistic people can really have eye contact. Some like have that excessive eye contact where they're like staring into your soul. Some really don't look into your eyes, and some just like I do look at the nose or the moving mouth. I love the moving mouth, or like this part where people like make silly things with their head, or eyebrows, and you're not looking into their eyes, but they would have never noticed. When I tell people I never looked into their eyes the whole conversation, they wouldn't notice at all, which of course makes it harder to get diagnosed because they like say like they looked at you when you weren't like where you were not able to act autistic, and they saw you like looking into people's eyes and stuff, like you're not autistic because you can do that. Yeah, that's a huge problem. Autism does also have a genetic compound. It's not sure if every person that is autistic has some like genetic mutations, or if it can be because of like stuff happening in your womb while you're developing, or stuff like happening in early childhood. That's not 100% like known at the moment. But for me, for example, I'm not the only autistic in my family, at least 2 other people in my family. there's something funny about that because my mother would have never noticed. She's like, everyone is a little bit quirky, kind of. So when I told her, like, Mom, didn't you think it was strange that sometimes I was like just moving and walking and all of a sudden I like bursted out with words or said something strange like developmental out of nothing, like just walking thing, or like started to jump or run and then walk normally again, stuff like that. And she was like, oh well, everyone is like kind of quirky, everyone has things like that. So that's why stuff is getting overlooked, because that's normal to her, and she just likes us the way we are, which is amazing, but also it's one reason why I got misdiagnosed, because they were asking my mother, are there things like in early childhood, and she was like nope, just normal kids. Note that characteristics might not fully manifest until later in life. Oh, cool. The DSM-5 is on the next point, like criterion D, but the ECD-11 just wants you to note that some things are just manifested or noticeable later in life. Criterion D. Symptoms cause clinically significant impairment in social, occupational, or other important areas of functioning. The ECD-11 also says characteristics result in significant impairment in personality, family, social, educational, occupational, or other important areas. Yeah, that's just a point which sums it all up, and also gets deeper and stuff like the social problems lead to like problems in your social life, problems in other areas. You having those repetitive movements leads to like people acting different around you or talking about you, making it harder for you to socially interact with others, leading to family problems because the way you said something was like hurtful to them, or they someone sneezed or they don't like you, they are mad at you, you know, everything, they think you're strange, stuff like that. You just like bring out words out of nothing, or liking a word and saying it 10 times can annoy them, stuff like that. There are other things that aren't like necessarily mentioned till now. For example, a big thing in autism is change. You know how stressful everything is that I talked about. The whole social thing, you hyper-focusing has the problem of like not noticing that you need to eat something, go to the bathroom, whatever. I'm sitting there for hours and all of a sudden I'm getting out and I realize my head hurts like hell and I need to go to the toilet. Like I don't know how I survived it that long, and being super hungry and super tired and everything, and with me being chronically ill in some other ways too, it's super exhausting. So the topic of change, with everything that we talked about now, stuff getting different is just so exhausting, because you think about all the things we just had and how exhausting and stressful they are, and now you finally adapted and you finally feel better, and whoosh, it's changing. So think about it. And I'm not talking about change being hard for like you went to school and now everything is changing. Of course, that's making you nervous, that's making you anxious, everything. Like people like to clean their house or have a clean house and are not having like OCD problems. But I cried because I changed my winter jacket. My old one was black and I hated it because I wanted something lighter. I actually wanted a white one, but I didn't get a white coat either. I got a red coat, but the main reason why was because I'm like freezing so easily and I wanted a coat that's like to the ends of your feet like. and my black one was just like at knee level. So I really needed to change it because I was getting so cold. But my old coat was feeling in a way that I felt like I had control over it. It had so many pockets that I like could store so much stuff, and my new one has just like tiny pockets, and it feels different. It feels tighter, and I really just miss my old coat. So the first time I went out with my new red coat, I cried. I really was that sad. And it's still something that I'm sad about. I mean, I didn't throw the black one away, because when it's getting like warmer and I don't need something like that long, I will use it again. But it's not going with me every day anymore. When I'm talking about struggles, when I'm talking about this really stressing me, I really mean it. I mean, like coming home crying because you don't know what to do anymore. I'm talking about like falling asleep the minute you come home after like going to work. But with your colleagues, you had that weird interaction. You thought about it the whole way home, and you needed to like interact with them after that whole stressful interaction you had, and where they were so strange, and you needed to think about how you will talk to them again and how you can solve this, and that's all going on in your head, and you just want to cry about it, or you don't have the energy anymore. So you don't come to the painting you really wanted to do, or there's no time for really cooking yourself a meal, which also is stressful. And you end up just lying in bed, not getting the needs, the food you wanted. You forget about showering, whatever. It's not that you felt bad about it, which is bad, of course. I'm not saying the normal struggles aren't enough. But I'm really talking about shit messing you up, having like a horrible week while you're really struggling to get out of bed. You're thinking about, how should I go to work tomorrow? I'm feeling not good enough. I don't feel like I can handle this. You're really doubting yourself, and this being so toll on your body that you really get sick the next day, and you really can't go to work because you just don't know how it will work, and you're so stressful, and you take all the energy from your body without getting it the food that it needs and stuff like that. So when you think about if you're autistic or not, autism is not the only disease where you have like trouble with social interactions. Autism isn't the only disease where you can feel super tired. There can be chronic sickness problems too. So if you feel like it's autism and then you watch that video and you're like, I don't know, it's not that bad. First, it's my experience. Autism is a spectrum. Things can be not as bad for you in some situations and worse in others. But if you feel like you did like an online test, like the RDOS test or ASPI quiz, which is a good one, and it didn't really show that you are... That's always linked in my bio, by the way, and in the video description, I think too. That doesn't mean that you are healthy and there's nothing bad going on. It can be a mental disability or a mental sickness in another way. It doesn't mean like either autism or everything is great. But if you do feel like you resonate with the things I just said, then I do recommend making that quiz and talking to a medical professional. And if you are watching videos like mine and you have the same thing as I, that you like look into them and you feel like that's the thing, you feel like that's fitting, and you do get a diagnosis but you don't feel heard, and as if they didn't listen enough, or as if you read the diagnostic criteria, you went with me over the things, and you feel like you can say something to every like tiny bit, and you really feel impacted by that, then there is, unfortunately, especially for women, a huge rate of misdiagnosis and misdiagnosed people. So sometimes it helps to like talk to other autistics in your area that like you feel like have the same symptoms as you did, and just asking them where they got diagnosed and trying to get diagnosed there too, because then you really know for sure. That's the way I did, and that's the way I got my autism diagnosis. But just like going to someone where other people I knew were autistic got diagnosed, and someone where I went to and who told me about the latest research, a person where you really knew they were talking about it and knowing what they are talking about. Yeah, that's my like recommendation. If you have any questions, just write them in the comments below. I'm very happy to answer them. And if you're autistic too, and there was stuff I didn't talk about, just add them in the comments. I want to make this educational and helpful, so like just add to it. I would be really happy. Thank you. I learned how to suppress or to Schauspieler. Fuck, wow. Schauspieler. Schauspielen. To act. Act. Criterion E. Criteria A for persistent deficits. And they looked into everything, and they looked in them. I know they are more experts. Jesus, words. Ouch. Hey, nicht so fest. Yeah, and that's it for today's video. I hope. Cat. I hope it was helpful, and it was the thing I was trying to make it about. And yeah, we will see each other in the next one, hopefully. Bye!